Thanks for coming back to What the Heck is Happening in HR. Today, we're going to talk about toxic workplaces. How do you know you're in one? What are the signs of it? And what do you do in order to get out of it? Or what if you can't get out of it? What should you do? For our podcast disclaimer, please visit the episode description. Today's topic is toxic workplaces. So let's talk about what defines one. You could be in one and not even realize it, or you think it's maybe normal behavior. Or as I had a fairly recent grad tell me, I just thought that's how people were in the business and then in the workplace. But no, it's not. These are in no particular order, but they're all indicators that something's wrong. The community is not working well together. The culture is toxic. And so what does that mean? It means it's just not a healthy place. It's not the kind of place where you might feel good about going in. So let's talk about some of those. The first thing would be your leaders are gossiping. When leaders will talk with other employees about other employees, to me, that's just such a symbol of it. Now, most of my students know that I love pop culture and how it works with HR. And if you watch Below Deck at all on the Bravo channel, you will realize that usually the chief stew will be talking to one of the stews about another one, and that just creates issues. My granny used to say those who gossip with you will gossip about you. So those who talk with you will talk about you. So clearly you don't want leaders gossiping. When the values get stomped on, when you're sitting in a meeting and someone clearly says something disrespectful, or somebody lies, or somebody is just ignoring what you thought was a clear value, that's usually when your gut starts telling you that something's not right. Bullies get rewarded. Perhaps they get more assignments. Perhaps they get more time. Whatever reward means in your community, then that's what's happening with it. Your workplace, for some reason, is including them in awards or including them in photos or including them in meetings, or they're getting special projects. And for some reason, it's tolerated. A disorganized workplace can also mean there's toxicity. And what does disorganized mean? I know my desk sometimes looks horrible, but I know exactly where everything is. But this disorganization means disorganized as to who's in charge of what. And it isn't just by title. It means who has the ability to make work happen. What are the expectations to get the job done? Are there really deadlines or are there not? And who, again, is on the team to do that? Are there conflicting deadlines? Is it together or is it not? Let me give you an example of one organization I'm aware of that doesn't have a clear definition of how to set goals. So every department sets goals differently. It might be stretch goals. It might be doing your job as your goal. It might be really stretch goals. Well, people get rewarded depending on who they're reporting to. And so their merit increases or their performance reviews or their bonuses are all based on that. Well, it's not a level playing field. And it doesn't mean it has to be the same for everyone, but there needs to be an overall philosophy. A philosophy of to meet the goal means to do your job and provide some evidence of discretionary engagement. Perhaps you worked on a separate project. Perhaps you helped out when you weren't asked. Things like that. And then whatever a stretch goal is, does it mean it's still attainable or not? Does it just mean I'm going to put it out there and see what I can get out of them or not? But clearly that kind of disorganized expectations is not good for an organization and its people. Priority du jour. Oh, work on this today. Oh, put this fire out today. Oh, wait, we have to do this. Oh, drop everything. Oh, you remember what I told you on Friday was important? No, this happened over the weekend, so we need to do that. Now, organizations need to be nimble. In fact, some of us even thrive on ambiguity and kind of the spontaneity. I mean, that is one of the fun things about HR and even being a business owner, because you never know what's coming your way for that day. But priority du jour means that suddenly somebody said higher up that they wondered what the status was on something. So you drop everything and now you do that. That doesn't mean it's the priority. It just means somebody asked a question. And so that ends up being the reaction by somebody else that follows down to you that says, now it just needs to be done. So those are some of those. So let's talk about a few more. How about when you start to feel good enough is good enough? That you're really indifferent about the work you're doing. That you really just don't feel it really matters. You're ambivalent. It just whatever. And that can be in the office. It can be at home working. When you just feel it's good enough. Or maybe you're worrying and it's just keeping you up at night. Stress does some strange things and it really will affect your health. So sometimes even indifference comes after you've worried and realized that that didn't do anything. If you're using language of, I'm just playing devil's advocate, or you hear people say that in an organization, it's letting you know there's no safe place to raise your own ideas here. They're not going to hear it unless you phrase it so that it has just a special pause to know that, hey, I'm just I'm not really the messenger even. I'm just like throwing this out there because it's not safe to really have your own opinions. Sometimes you want to make a decision, you know the right decision, but you end up being unsure because you don't know if it's the right decision for some political reason. Political, I mean, within office politics. So you end up involving other people, your information or your idea gets diluted or your decision ends up changing. Well, if it was your decision to make and you've involved other people in it, they will take the credit. Remember those bullies? When it goes wrong, you will get the credit. You know, it's one of those things that who's responsible for this? Well, if it goes wrong, you're responsible. And then favoritism. Now, that isn't just the bullies, but people who perhaps were brought in by other people. Now, I have used mentors, and I don't mean use them as far as in a bad way, but I certainly have been brought in by mentors into organizations. And so why was that? As I told people who thought I was having favoritism, I said to them, there's a lot of pressure when someone brings you in under their name. You want to do a good job. You want to do more than what they even expect. You want to learn from them in a different way. You aren't sure what other people are going to expect of you. There's a whole nother level when you've been brought in by somebody else. And so that looks like favoritism, but how you react to it can be what is toxic around it. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people that come in and say, well, you need to do this because I know so-and-so, or I'll get you fired. Yes, I heard somebody say that once. So you need to just think about, am I responding to the fact that they were brought in, or do I really think that their idea or their place here is not the right thing to do? It could be your own fear. And that fear comes, whether it's decision making, whether it's what you've got to do for the day, or whether it is just the decision to go in the office rather than work from home for the day, is really a lack of faith. Now, yes, I'm a pretty spiritual person, but the fear I'm talking about is a lack of faith in yourself. And the best way to start thinking about how to deal with a toxic workplace is to let it be its own item. Look at it. Do I really want to move into that house? Do I really want to be part of that? Do I really have such little self-worth about what I do and how I do it that I'm just gonna acquiesce to that? And so that can happen where you end up just becoming lower in your standards, lower in your requirements, lower in how you feel you can get things done. Because if other people are getting assignments and other people are being the bullies, are getting the good assignments and the good committee meetings and the good projects, and you're not, and you see that over and over, it doesn't help you. It doesn't help you grow. So you really need to make a decision because success is a choice. Success is a choice. Every time you make a choice, then you are leading yourself on the path either to get out of that environment or not. Now, to leave such an environment, you need to start planning. You need to figure out where are your bills. If you have insurance, go get your doctor's appointments. Go get all of that done. If you have appointments that you need to keep personally, go ahead and have those. If you have a legal plan and they'll do your wills, those things, and you've been putting them off, go get those done. Just go ahead, and it isn't about abusing your benefits at all. It is about using the benefits you have and preparing yourself to be able to make a choice to leave. Reassess the goals that you have that will end up on your review that will show whether you achieved things or not. Write emails. And yes, I talked about making decisions about political items, but if you're going to set yourself up and an opportunity to leave a toxic work environment, then you need to be able to make sure that you're not being emotional, you're not going off on emails, you're not ignoring things. So have clarity around the goals, meet with your boss, say, hey, these are the 3 top things I'm working on. This is the time frame I'm looking at. This is the method I'm going after. And then confirm that back with them. Thanks for the meeting today. And then do those. Set up some time for you to unwind, whether it's exercise, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's yoga, whether it's seeing friends, whether it's playing with dogs, whatever that might be. Just schedule in some time to do it. And then 2 other things. One is find a supporter outside the organization, somebody who you can speak with and who you respect their opinions. And ask for their opinion. If you just want to rant, let them know, hey, I'm just going to rant. I just need a minute to get this off my chest. And then you can say, okay, so how do you see this situation? What are some options for me? A good mentor and a good coach will ask you questions so that you actually come to a decision you can live with. That'll be a decision whether you stay as long as you need to, but not longer than you have to. Because every time you stay, or as I used to tell employees, when you vote with your feet and you walk in that door or you open that Zoom or you tolerate that behavior, you're letting them know that that's more important than you. And nothing's more important than you. Well, Mondays are important to us because we know that you want to listen to the latest episode of What the Heck is Happening in HR. Thanks so much for listening today, and be sure to subscribe.